Hi guys, I'm Cibao. Today I'll be explaining what the HSL panel in Lightroom is, and I'll also be showing you how to use the HSL panel to enhance your photos. I feel like a lot of people get intimidated when they get to the HSL panel, but using the HSL sliders can really transform your photos and make specific elements in your photo pop. I know it might seem complicated and overwhelming, but I promise it's not. I'll be breaking down the HSL panel so it's as easy to understand as possible. Alright, so HSL stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. Hue is the shade of a specific color. Saturation is the intensity of a color, and luminance is the brightness of a color. I'm going to use this solid green image to demonstrate how adjusting the green hue, saturation, and luminance sliders will affect this green image. The hue sliders are a really powerful tool that can change a specific color into a different tone or shade of that color. For example, say I want a more yellowish shade of green. I can pull the green slider towards the more yellow side, and now I have a yellowish shade of green. If I want the complete opposite, a more teal shade, I can just pull the slider all the way to the right, and now I have this teal shade of green. Of course, there aren't only the two shades of green, there are actually many more shades within the slider. You can just play around until you found your perfect shade. I'm just going to leave it at this teal shade and move on to saturation. The saturation sliders control how intense a color is. If you want a more soft and subtle color, you can pull the slider towards the left. And now this is a more, pastel mint color, and it's quite muted. If you want a more vivid color, you can pull the slider towards the right. And now this teal is very intense. Lastly, for luminance, luminance is how bright a color is. Pulling the slider towards the left will make the color darker, and pulling the slider towards the right will make the color very bright. And that's basically what hue, saturation, and luminance is. If you don't like this particular format where the colors are organized by hue, saturation, and luminance, you can go into the color panel. And now the hue, saturation, and luminance are organized by colors. It just really depends on what you prefer. I like this mode where it's separated into hue, saturation, and luminance. Now I'm going to edit an actual photo and use the HSL sliders. I'm going to edit this photo. I've already done some basic adjustments to this image. I bumped up the exposure and contrast. I lowered the highlights completely because the back was a little bit too washed out, and doing this will you can see all the leaves now. I lowered the shadows as well as the whites, and I bumped up the blacks by a tiny little bit. I also bumped up the clarity, and I decreased the saturation. I did a little bit of work on the tone curve. I pulled up the shadows. I made the blacks look a little bit faded, and I brought back some contrast by lowering the shadows. I increased the midtones and highlights slightly, and I crushed the whites by quite a bit. For the split toning, I didn't do any split toning for the highlights, but I put a little bit of yellow into the shadows. And lastly, I added a little bit of grain. Now we're going to go back to the HSL panel. The three colors that I'll be, adjusting today are the yellow in the leaves, the green in the grass, and the blue in my friend's outfit. The first thing I'm going to do is make the yellow leaves a more orange shade. So I just have that zoomed in here, and I'm going to go to the yellow slider and pull it towards the more orange side. So I'm just going to do about minus 61. You can see how much difference that made. Next, I'm going to adjust the green hue slider. I'm going to pull it towards the more yellow side. It's maybe -42. So the grass is turns into a more yellowish shade of green. I think this will tie in really well with the warm vibe I'm going for. And the last thing I'm going to adjust in the hue section is the blue. I want the blue in my friend's outfit to be a more navy blue shade, so that's why I'm going to pull the slider towards the right hand side. I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to move on to saturation. I want the main focus of this photo to be my friend and also the trees in the background. That's why I'm going to desaturate the green in the grass completely. Doing this isn't going to get rid of all the color. You can still see some green, but it just makes it more subtle. And sorry, I just skipped past yellow because I'm quite happy with how the leaves are looking. It's not too overpowering, but it's definitely a lot better than before. And I'm going to bump the blue up because, of course, like I said earlier, I want the focus to be of my friend and the trees. And the blue in the outfit is looking a little bit too dull right now. So I'm just going to intensify it. I think 33 is good. Now I'm going to go to luminance. I want the grass to be, I guess, a darker green. So that's why I'm going to turn down the luminance. Yeah, something like that's okay. And I'm also going to drop the luminance for blue. This will just add a little bit more depth and color to her outfit. I'm just going to do about -40. Now I'm going to show you guys the before and after of this photo. Using the HSL panel really brought the colors back to life. The yellow leaves are now a more orange shade and it's also a lot more vibrant. The grass is a more muted dark green and it's a yellowish shade, which really works well for this photo. The blue in her outfit is a lot more intense, which really just helps her stand out from the background. Anyways, the point of me showing you guys a before and after photo is to let you guys see for yourself how big of a difference using the HSL panel makes. The before photo, the colors are looking really dull and the photo just looks boring, but after using the HSL panel, the colors and the overall photo looks way better. I'm just going to edit one last photo to finish off this video. I'm going to edit this photo and I'm not going to do any basic adjustments. I'm just going to move straight to the HSL panel. The hue sliders come really in handy when you want to change a specific color into a different shade of that color. In this case, I want to change up the shade of the blue in my friend's dress into a purple shade. So I'm going to go to the blue hue slider and I'm going to pull it towards the purple. I reckon 35 is good. Now my friend's dress is purple by only adjusting the blue hue slider. The saturation sliders are a really good way to either intensify a specific color, or you don't really have to intensify a color. You can also make a specific color look more soft. Although for this photo, I want to make the green in my top look more intense because I feel like the purple and red in my friend's outfit are quite strong and I sort of just want to match that level. So I'm just going to bump up the green. The luminance sliders will either make a specific color darker or a specific color lighter. For this particular photo though, I'm going to decrease the luminance of the red and also the luminance of the green and the blue as well. Not only will this make the colors in our outfit darker, it also make the colors look a little bit more intense. I know the changes I made in this photo don't look like a huge difference, but that's sort of the vibe I'm going for. I'm just enhancing the colors. I don't want anything to look too unnatural or out of place, and that's sort of the look I encourage you all to go for. You want people to think that the colors were a part of the photo and not just like plopped on top. Okay, that's basically it for today's tutorial. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you have any questions, just leave it down in the comments below and I'd be more than happy to help out. Also, I'll have a new video tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe.